Welcome to the Pod Tribe. Today we have a LinkedIn Masterclass in store for you. LinkedIn is generating a lot of buzz at the moment, and there's a good reason for it. It is an awesome place to grow your influence and to grow your business. We have Burton in the studio today, and she just grew her following from 0 to 15,000 over the short span of only 8 months. We're going to dive into all the strategies that she used to make this happen. We're going to cover things like how to set up your profile, what to think about in terms of messaging, and how to position yourself as an expert in your niche. We're going to talk about content strategy and even how to sell in the DMs. So basically how to turn a total stranger who has never heard of you before into a raving fan that is ready to buy your product or service. So if you are ready to start your journey on LinkedIn, this one is for you. Let's dive right in. Today we have a very special guest in the studio. Her LinkedIn headline reads, "Brutal blonde who knows a bit about making money online," and I love that line. She is a business mentor and a certified positive psychology coach. She has over 15,000 followers on LinkedIn. Laura Burton, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What a nice introduction. I love an introduction where you laugh straight away.
Right? But that line is bloody brilliant. I love it ever since I saw it. To kick us off, I would love to know a little bit more about your origin story. It feels like you have a deep passion for business, and I'm curious if that has always been the case. And then also, how did you get into coaching?
Yeah, so I have always had a passion for business. When I was 14, I remember telling my first boyfriend's dad that I was going to move to Germany and I was going to be a businesswoman. And of course, I had no idea what that actually meant. That meant nothing. But had this deep interest in making money yourself. And I didn't follow it actually. So I went into the corporate world. I did the degree thing that everyone tells you to do, climbed the corporate ladder, worked with some big FTSE companies, delivering their people strategy globally. So covering 55 markets at a time. And I never loved it. There was always something missing, and I think a lot of us often feel like that. There was always something missing. I didn't like the 9 to 5. I didn't like the getting up in the morning because other people wanted me to, and that was what they set for me. I'm definitely neurodivergent, so obviously that makes sense to me now. So I started kind of side hustles about 8 years ago. So I've had a local business and a product business, and I now have a service business. And I always loved marketing. I always loved the comms side of what I did in the kind of people sector of actually getting people to engage with things and communicating things out. And so what I ended up doing was starting 2 businesses that I, in hindsight, was never gonna ever grow. I knew that at the time, but I was testing the water. And I had quite a turbulent 20s. I was overachiever, ambitious, achieved lots of stuff, but chronically depressed and unhappy, anxiety disorder. Obviously neurodivergent, but didn't really know or identify with that. Not a lot of education around it. TikTok actually diagnosed me, I think. And then I found positive psychology about, I think it's just over 2 years ago now. And through that journey, realized that I always wanted to be a coach since I was 25. I always wanted to be in marketing. I'd now amassed all of this knowledge about landing pages, about growing massive businesses, supporting CEOs, how people perform. And through unlocking my own peace and happiness and resilience, I then ended up starting this business and now teach people lead generation, LinkedIn, how to scale, how to grow, how to add more revenue. It's been wild. I fucking love it, quite frankly.
We have a lot of commonalities when I listen to your story there, definitely. I think I want to jump into LinkedIn in a second, but before we go there, I am a little bit curious because you pointed out the kind of neurodivergency, spiciness in the brain. Did you find anything when you were looking into positive psychology or in general that has really helped you to kind of adapt your own working style and maybe how you work with clients now, having that knowledge?
Yeah, for sure. So the thing that I identified really fast was that most of my struggles, or all of my struggles with everything, were mindset based, and they were based around cognitive distortions, around things that I tell myself that just aren't true, that have no unnecessary logic. So that was the first thing. I also did so sometimes I do with my clients a values assessment. So what are your values? And I found that I was beating myself up for having 3 degrees. I love learning. And my top value came out as love of learning. right? And I was like, okay, so I can give myself permission to learn and love it and to teach others. And actually, I love what I do because that's my top value. And then my next value was like integrity and like all of these things came up. And I realized that through living through my values, it was really going to help me to feel more aligned, feel more peaceful, and make good decisions. But then I also did a strengths test. So we do that in positive psychology because what we know is when you use your strengths and when you develop your strengths, you become way better at what you do. Whereas when we try and develop our weaknesses, it's actually just an uphill struggle. There's a lot of friction. So we're better off actually finding out what our strengths are, what our values are, and leaning into them to curate our life and our business. And my top strengths, like, which is hilarious, is futuristic and very strategic, learning. So I love learning. I love teaching, archiving. So it's called input. It's where I put things into places. So I do this with my courses. I love doing my own invoices, which is crazy because I'm like archiving things into where they need to be. There's like some key strengths that really show that I should be a coach and that I should focus on business strategy and the future of what's possible. And through going through that positive psychology journey, it's just helped me to realize that there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing when people were saying, oh, you need to be better at this or like develop this skill. It was actually, I was just causing a lot of friction for myself. And when you pair that with the neurodivergence and the overthinking and the fact that I can't make my brain quiet, it's actually more beneficial for me and beneficial for everyone else when all of those thoughts are actually in a direction where I feel very aligned. So it's okay for me to obsess over strategy because that makes me good at what I do. It's okay for me to obsess over integrity because that makes me good for my clients. So I think that a process of self-discovery is actually the real key to, just more peace, more calm, more alignment, like all of that. High self-awareness.
100%.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific in your like setup of the day that you have changed? Because I feel like oftentimes with like neurodivergent people, if we kind of try to follow the traditional like 9 to 5, it doesn't really work for us that well.
No.
So like
I feel like I'm in a cage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really struggled with it when I started my business. I did everything just the way I'd normally done it. I did 9 to 5 and then I worked evenings as well. I burnt myself out. I contracted. So I was consulting at the time 4 days a week. And I only really changed my business model and my day to day when I realized it was killing me not to do so and operating in this 9 to 5 framework that everyone had taught me. It was just so ingrained through 15 years of corporate. So now what I do is I don't take any meetings generally before 11 o'clock in the morning, which gives me space for a slow morning. I can think about my day. I can listen to music. I can get into a really good space. I can go to the gym and I'm not answering anything. So I'm not waking up chaotically thinking, okay, what do I need to do? There's a to-do list and I've got to do it. So I really now protect my space because of the neurodivergence and the overthinking, and I dip into other people's emotions. I can't help it. So when I'm back to back in coaching calls, actually, like I'm up and down, depending on whether they're high vibe or whether they're struggling. So now I also only take calls generally in the afternoons. So it means that I might have 3 or 4 calls, but it also means that I've had a good morning. I can kind of put the energy into that. And then by 5 o'clock, I can say, yeah, you know what, I'm done. And I do that Tuesday to Thursday. So Monday is my CEO day where I meet with my team, where I do anything I've not done, which is usually the case, like any last minute tasks. Friday is the day where I'm like, okay, I'm going to save that for nice stuff, and maybe some building or maybe nothing. But I just created space. So I have space every day and I know when something is expected of me, which is Tuesday to Thursday afternoon. And that's my own boundary of like, okay, you really need to be working.
I love that. I also start everything at 11 o'clock. That's when my calendar is open for like calls and everything. And before that is just me time, mindset time. Like, all of that. I love it. You just hit 15,000 followers on LinkedIn,
I did.
Which is such an insane number. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would love to dive a little bit into the bits and pieces of LinkedIn, but maybe for some people who are listening and who are still on the fence of like, should I start posting? I don't know if I have any interesting things to say. Could you highlight a little bit of the opportunities that have opened up since you started posting and that kind of came through that LinkedIn personal brand?
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
It's so hard to grow on social media right now, and it's so easy as well. there's a strategy for each of the platforms, and you have to know that strategy deeply and apply it consistently, which is, for most business owners who are not neurodivergent, it's really difficult. But even when you're a business owner and you're overwhelmed and you have to be self-disciplined, it's actually really difficult to implement any consistent strategy because we've got no boss telling us what to do. So the opportunity on LinkedIn is, when I took to LinkedIn, I could write down my thoughts very quickly, post them with a single picture, a selfie, anything, really didn't matter. I didn't have to do carousels, videos, nothing. And I was still growing. And the growth happened so quickly. And what you get is, when you get a result through any business strategy and you see it working, you want to do it more. So I was posting, I don't know, a year ago, probably 2 or 3 times a week, and hadn't committed daily. I wasn't doing any outbound engagement, which is a huge sin that social media managers are like, you must do the outbound engagement. I didn't do that till the end of last year. And I grew to about 5,000 followers. So I managed to do that in 6 months with very little effort, just through kind of finding my way on the platform. And most of us would love to have 5,000 followers. Like, that's a really good goal. Most, I think it's 99% of people, or some ridiculous statistic, never get over 1,000. So that's a really good achievement, and I was pleased with that. But what I found was that people have budget more so on LinkedIn because they're in work mode. So when they're scrolling, they're actually in work mode. They're waiting for an answer to the solution. When you're on Instagram, you're like, okay, that's funny. Okay, there's some makeup. Okay, there's some cats. Okay, there's something interesting about sustainability. There's something about ADHD, and your brain is like all over the place. But when you're on LinkedIn, it's pretty much curated in work, work, work. Like, everything is just very focused on your brain saying, I'm working right now. And I found people have budget. I found people turn up to calls. They don't ever like ghost very much. You can grow really easily. People who run events can find you to ask you to speak at events. You can connect with just people like you. I've made some of like really, really good friends through LinkedIn, just through LinkedIn conversations, and you feel very connected. And I think as a platform, it's so good right now in ways that the other platforms are not. And, you know, you've got robots, etc. And yes, that LinkedIn has its flaws for sure, but it's just so focused on work that as a business owner, it is an absolute no-brainer for me. Absolute no-brainer.
What I love about the platform is that there are real life connections made. That did not feel that way on Instagram necessarily that much, or like other social medias that I've tried. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's faster as well. Like, it's just the connection is a lot faster, and it operates like your own landing page. Like, I've just created my first landing page, which is hilarious because I teach people landing pages and email marketing. I teach email marketers email marketing. I teach copywriters copywriting, and I've only just done my first landing page for this business, which is like a bit strange, but I didn't need it, because LinkedIn is doing the hard work for me. So if you don't want to put bells and whistles on everything, go to the platform which enables you to put your CV out there, put your info out there, act like a website. Like, how awesome is that? You don't get that through the other platforms.
100%.
Yeah.
If we have someone who's listening and they have decided, okay, yeah, this might be something that sounds really cool, what Laura is talking about. They have an idea of what they want to post about because they're running their own business. Mm-hmm. Where do we start? Do we start with a profile? Do we start with just putting our thoughts out there? Like, where do we go?
So start with the one big problem that you solve and who you solve it for. Because a lot of people take to the platform and they'll start posting, and then there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. Getting comfortable on a platform is a strategy, and a lot of us need to do that, especially if we lack confidence. But what they miss is they post their thoughts or they post content they think is going to be interesting without focusing on the problem that they solve. And if you scroll through my profile, you'll see it's like how to make money, how to do this, ways I do this. I've been for a coffee. What does that have in common with you as a business owner? So all of my content is very curated to the person looking to make more money, to get leads, to market themselves, to market their business, and to grow and scale to multiple 6 figures and beyond. And so that's what I talk about, the problems of scaling, of growing, of lead generation, of all this stuff that we need to overcome, even when I'm talking about my own personal journey. So even when I dip out of that, I'm doing something relatable to my ideal customer. So when you're starting on LinkedIn, it really doesn't matter what buttons you press when you're getting comfortable, as long as you remember every time you write something, every time you record something, every time you put a newsletter out or make a connection request. It's always like, is this in line with the business goal? Is this in line with the problem that I'm solving and the solution that I want to provide? are these my ideal customers that I'm connecting with? You've got to tell platforms what you want. There's SEO at play. The algorithm is doing its thing all the time and trying to just like trip us up, or so it seems. Everything should be focused on that big problem you solve, and that's where you start. And when you do that, what you find is, if you're always asking yourself questions like, how does this solve a problem for my customer? You can look at your headline and go, how does this solve a problem for my customer? Do they know who I am? Do they know what I do? Because people get that wrong, and that's the first thing people see. Does my banner reflect the problem that I solve? Mine says grow your service business. That's it. And then I've got a tongue-in-cheek headline, right? Which people have like given me feedback where they're like, oh, you should really change your headline to something less funny that's like, okay, I help people scale. I'm like, you know what? If they don't have time to just click on my profile and see that I grow service businesses, like that's fine. I want personality. But every question that I ask myself about my profile and my business, I'm like, is it still hitting the mark in what I'm doing? And if you do that and ask yourself that all the time, it doesn't matter whether you start with profile, content, connections, you're still going to be moving in the direction of the goal.
I think it's quite easy to find that one problem or that one message if you have something that is quantifiable. So like you can talk about maybe people want to make $10,000 a month or whatever is trending right now.
Yeah.
It gets a little bit more tricky when you have something that's a little bit less tangible. Like, for example, me having a coaching business. How would you think around that? Like, how can we make these kind of have a better life, have more energy, stress less?
Okay.
How can we make that into one problem that we want to solve?
Are you up for some live like mentorship?
100% always.
So you said that how do you like make something tangible? But what you do is very tangible. And the issue that people have, business owners have, is that they don't bring the tangibility to life. So as a coach, what problem do you solve?
In the end, it all comes down to stress. What I solve is if you have a stressful life and that is eating away at your peace of mind, that is eating away at your physical health, I can help you to find strategies to de-stress and kind of solve these other issues alongside.
Perfect. Great. So reducing stress. So on its own, that is a very tangible result. We can feel it, which is less tangible than maybe like seeing 10K hit your bank account, of course, but we can feel it and we do know it's happening. So it is still tangible. The magic happens when you say, I'm going to help you reduce stress so you can
grow your business. Yeah.
So you can grow your business. I'm going to help you reduce stress so you can hit 10K a month. I'm going to help you reduce stress so that you can actively show up on social media. And your messaging is a lot around so that you can, but people say, I'm a mindset coach, and so I'm going to help you change your mindset. What does that mean? That's not tangible. No one can feel it, no one can touch it, and no one can put themselves into that scenario. So when you are, selling anything in your business, just challenge yourself to say, so that you can what? Like, what is this? Like, what does this mean? And when we pair the so that you can statement with the thing that the people want most, is when it comes to reducing stress. If I think about when I'm stressed, what I want is to not want to lay in bed. I want to actually work. I want to stay productive. I want to keep the business going. I don't want to let the team down. I don't want to let clients down. So it's very easy to say, look, if you stay in a stressful state, you're leaving money on the table because you're not selling. You're not serving your clients. You're not selling well on sales calls. So you have all the knowledge, and I say this all the time, that you have all the knowledge that you need. You just can't apply it because you're stressed. So the messaging is the magic always, and people stop at the first hurdle and they feel like it's not tangible. But every single thing that we sell is tangible as long as it's about like love and relationships is a big thing, money and their kind of financial status. That's another big thing that we buy, isn't it? And health. It's all that. 100%. So get the tangible result for that.
Do you want a real-time roasting of my new headline?
Yes.
Right now it says, I help high-achieving female founders reclaim their energy, reconnect to their purpose, and drive their business to new heights.
Nice. So, have you updated that already?
Yeah, that's the one that's showing.
Okay. So, let me just give you like a really quick, just a quick tip. So, when you post on LinkedIn, when you show up in the feed, the first thing that people see is like that I help high achieving female. That's the intriguing bit. So you've got this very short, like mini sentence that you have to play with. So when you craft that headline, the best part of that sentence needs to go first. So if it says reclaim your energy, someone that's really struggling with energy is going to see that and connect with you. And all you've got is your profile picture and those first few words to play with. So I love I help statements, and sometimes I get people to create them, right? Because they really do help you to understand what you do for people, but then I get them to remove the I help to add personality. So it might be like, reclaim your energy and drive your business to something. So the other thing is people say to the next level, to new heights. But again, we can't connect with that. So what does new heights mean? It means something different for everybody. So for me, if you were talking to me, I'm low energy right now, busy week, I'm looking forward to the weekend, it would be like, reclaim your energy so that you can create the 7-figure business. It's literally that clear for me. I'm like, if I don't get my energy up, if I don't recover by Monday, I'm not going to sell, I'm not going to book the sales calls, and all this is going to kind of fall short. So we're often really worried about putting a specific result in. But what I would really challenge you to do is get clear on who that person is, who is this high achieving female, and what is the goal? Is it 6 figures? Is it 7 figures? Is it something completely different? And like inject that and keep changing your headline until it gets clearer and clearer and clearer. My headline used to be about 3 or 4 lines long, and now it's super short, because I've just curated it down and down and down. So you start with the I help statement so they know exactly what you're going to do, and then you change it into something so specific.
Love it. And with that, we have already landed kind of in the profile optimization. If you go to someone's LinkedIn profile, that's kind of the first, or that's the thing they see even before they click.
Yeah.
Then we have a banner, we have an about section, we have a featured section. So like, what do I do next after I have nailed kind of the headline?
Okay, so with your profile, you want to view it as your customer would see it. So the banner and the profile picture and the headline is always going to be the most important thing. The featured section is the next important thing. So we have a tendency to pin our top performing post there, which is great if you have nothing else. But what I find is that a really simple lead magnet works well. So you can just have one link. You see the top influencers, the top coaches, the top creators, they will have one link. It'll be to their email list. It'll be to their free training. It'll be to their download. Whatever that they have one goal. So have one goal in mind in terms of what you want people to do. So for example, I'm running the LinkedIn Masterclass that happens in a couple of weeks, selling a mini course to get people on LinkedIn. So one thing that I could do is my featured section, just put one post, one banner that says, join the live challenge and increase your leads and growth on LinkedIn. And that's it. So when they get to my profile and scroll, it's the first thing they see. You've got to think like a customer acts. Think like a customer acts. So they see your profile, okay, grow your service business. They scroll down and they say, get leads, which is the core problem. It's very quick. They're likely to click. And sometimes what we do is we overwhelm our audience with too much information. So we have these long about sections that I don't know that people always read. I think they do sometimes, but that's the most boring bit of the profile. So your about section, your first line has to be a hook that makes people want to read it if you want people to go there. I start mine with business owners, but my about section is so poor. Honestly, it's not why people come to my profile. So if you have a free call, then I would use a call to benefit. I've heard them called, which is like a call to action that has a benefit for them. So you might want to put in the featured section, book a call with me to learn how to grow your LinkedIn in 30 minutes. It's free. Because you're saying book a call with me, but then you're saying what's in it for them. It might be join a newsletter. So I have my newsletter is Brutally Honest Business, and it might be join Brutally Honest Business to get a behind the scenes look at a 6-figure business, and so that I can help you grow with a 2-minute video tip every single week. And when we give them that benefit, it means that they really just see what's in it for them, because we're all really selfish. We're so selfish. We want to know what's in it for us. So you can nail your profile very, very quickly. And I would say simplicity is key. Have that one goal. Where do you want your person to go in your funnel? And this might be a little bit too high level, but your funnel is just, my funnel for a very long time has been, I post content, people see content, they go into my DM and book a call with me. And that's the sale. Other people have, email marketing that runs them into a lead magnet that goes into an email sequence that gets them onto a training that then sells to them at the end or whatever. So your funnel can be really simple, but your profile, it should be very clear, full of all the information that they need, but not overwhelming for your audience. If you tell them to book a call, go to an email list, watch your YouTube, which I have in my featured section because I've been waiting for that like one thing. And sometimes I remove them all and put one in, and remove them all and like put one in. Whatever your goal is that month, just put the one goal. That's it. Just put one thing. Keep it simple.
Have you experimented a little bit between the email sign up and the call?
In terms of the result?
I feel like if I am on LinkedIn scrolling and I've never seen someone, I click through their profile, maybe I'm not yet ready to book a full-on call, like I don't want to commit 30 minutes or what it is. Mm-hmm. But then on the other hand, if I feel like I really want to work with them, then I probably want to hop on a call like immediately. So like What kind of works better to convert people from a LinkedIn profile into like we're having a conversation? Is it more the book a call, or is it more like sign up for the email, I'm going to nurture this and then we can talk about a call?
So I think this really depends on your size of business, because right now I can't just have loads of sales calls with people who do or don't know whether they want to work with me because I'm time poor. So for me, I ask people to DM me because I want people who are serious, who are happy to speak to me, and then I can qualify them. I can have a conversation and say, yes, this is right for you, or actually, no, it's not. Let me refer you to a friend, or, this program, or like buy this £47 product. You don't need a call with me. You need to start with the basics. So I love the art of conversation personally. And I find that when I create really good content and I put a DM kind of call to action at the end, people speak to me, like the inbound leads do flow. I had a book a calling on my profile for a very long time and no one ever clicked it. Not once. It was just never people's kind of like desire to do it that way. They would always talk to me first. So I removed that. And now I drive them to the email list through the top, and they've just changed that again. So I think that's been removed because they're always changing the platform. But I was driving them to my email list originally. And I think it very much depends on your audience. I'm just checking it. So it's still going to my email list, but when it comes up, it actually says request services on my profile now. So people can send me a little note if they want to work with me, which is fine. But what I find is the type of audience you have will dictate what they want to do. The price of your product will dictate what they want to do. So last night I put out a £47 post and someone bought straight away because it's 47 quid. They're like, yeah, I can do £47. They sign up straight away, no bother. But if I want someone to come into a one-to-one coaching program, which is like 5 figures, like big 5 figures, they're just not going to operate in that way. So they're probably going to need more warming up, which means I have to create a lead magnet to push them through. So what I would say is if you can warm them up in a way that takes you out of that process, whether it's a video sales letter, whether it is email marketing, something that is more automated that they can watch, it means that you have more time in your business. If you're just starting out, you can have a book a call link, you can use the DM thing, you can send them to an email list. But if you're more sophisticated or you have the time, it's always really good to try warm people up in a way that you don't have to get involved, because you are going to become time poor very quickly with your business. You're going to waste time. You're like the content strategy is going to kill you. You're going to have coffee chats with everybody. So like the automation of a process is really good, and you have to test it. So one of the things that people hate to hear from me is that just because I get calls through my DM, kind of like content strategy, it doesn't mean that the best thing for you is a DM content strategy. It usually typically is. But it might be that based on your industry, they want to purchase in another way. And we have to get into, like I said, think like the customer acts. You need to know exactly how they make purchasing decisions. So crucial.
100%.
We don't think about this stuff, right? We just think we can kind of like follow everyone else.
Right. Yeah. I think that is a good point to really see like what's happening in the industry. How do they probably want to engage? And maybe also just talk to people who reached out, like what would have been the nicest way to get in touch, or like how did you decide to DM me or whatever it was like.
Yeah. And people say to me all the time, I DM everybody. Like if you've connected with me, unless I'm really busy, you're likely going to get a DM from me. And some people respond, some people don't, but pretty much everyone says, they're like, oh, that was a really nice way to speak to me because I'm very kind of relaxed. I don't pitch. I ask what their struggles are. I'm happy to give them a free call and help them if like they're the right person and I can help them. But I get a lot of compliments on my personal strategy because I've tested it. So I know that cold for me doesn't work. I know that I have some raving fans that love that I was the one to talk to them and give them advice. So you've got to test what works for you in every single aspect of your LinkedIn account. Don't be afraid to test. Just go for it. Just like test it. If it doesn't work, move on.
Yes. When you do send that first, or they send you a request for connection and then you start DMing them, what's kind of the secret to land somewhere between, like, I'm going to be your new best friend and I'm the salesiest person you have ever met? Like, we kind of want to find a middle ground, right?
Yeah, and it comes down to your personality, you know? So what's the secret? I can't tell you my secret. Or maybe I can. So I'm giving away my DM script in the training that I'm doing in a couple of weeks. And through my mini course, I'm giving away my script. What I have found is that gentle, personality-based questioning is the best way. That is very clearly not driven towards a sale. So I will often speak to people about their goals and what they're struggling with. But what I'm not going to do is send this formal message that says, you know, what do you want to achieve by the end of the year? And what's stopping you from getting there? Because like, one, I sound like AI has stepped in on my behalf. And two, it's a signal that I'm only in it for one thing. And I think people are really getting sick of people being in it for one thing. And yes, you can do cold outreach. You can do that. You can do those messages if you want to. And if you hit high enough numbers, it will work. You will find your people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do teach that strategy if you're resilient enough for it. But my business is built on generosity marketing, and it's built on connection. I want this kind of long-term sustainable business model. And I also want a personal brand that in 5 years, if I have a huge following, I want them to remember who I was now and that I did genuinely try to connect, which is why my sales calls are very, honestly, I get so much like from other coaches. They're like, you're too relaxed, you need to sell harder. And it really falls outside of my values. So again, your values come in. So I sell to a degree. I tell people I can help them, but I'm playing this long game in terms of my personal brand in really caring for people. So my secret when I'm DMing is I give a lot of value. If you DM me, I'm going to give you some advice. If you want it, I'll offer you advice and you can say no. And I give you the opportunity to say no. But I have people who are not my clients messaging me and they'll say, I've put a post out on LinkedIn. Can you review it? And I'm like, yeah, go on then. Because I'm building up this like emotional bank account with people, because they will either work with me, they will either refer me, or they will engage with my content. And so building your personal brand through the DMs is the secret. Like, how do you want people to perceive you without forgetting that the reason I ask people what they're struggling with is because I want to know if it's something I can help them with. So it's a very salesy question. And people do tend to like give me their answer, but I do it in a way that's like, okay, what are you struggling with? I can help you. And if you've heard about me, you know I'm going to help you without me kind of like putting the pressure on and saying, well, you've got to join today and I'll give you all this money off and you can never join again. And this is a launch and, you know, look at what you're missing out on. Now's the time, all of that stuff. There's a time and a place for that. And I know what people need that. But yeah, personal brand through DMs is crucial, absolutely crucial.
What I hear there is maybe it's not so much about what the message is saying, but the genuine intent that is kind of behind it. Like, you're really showing up to help them. And that shows, in the way it is.
And I get people, there are certain questions. So I have 4 questions and that's my aim. So when I'm coaching my clients, and this is what I'm getting across in my training, is like, I have my 4 questions and the 4 questions act like gates. So I'm like, okay, I need to get this person to speak to me. So that's gate 1. Now I want to know this. That's gate 2. Now I want to know this. So when you get into the mindset of really struggling to DM, it helps to have 4 questions that follow a process. And what that means is if you get to the next gate, you're getting closer to saying that magic phrase, which is, I can help you with this. And they get to decide whether they want to be sold to in the moment. They get to decide whether they trust you enough for a call. They get to decide to just say no and be like, yeah, no, I don't need any help, thanks. Like, and that's okay, because we're all sick of being sold to. So don't worry about the people that say that. That's okay. But the magic phrase for me is when I voice note someone and say, I can help you with this. I'm not going to like sell to you in a way that you've been sold to before. I'm going to have a chat with you. I'm going to tell you what's on the table. I'm going to tell you what's possible. And then it's over to you. That's my commitment to people in this space, because coaching has gone bonkers. And people love that approach, but I do have to formally say that to people. So the magic phrase and every question that you ask should be getting them to a point where you say, look, I can help you with this, which is a really nice way of putting it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
And it feels good.
Yeah, for both people in the conversation. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. You talked a lot about that then kind of the content is what is driving people into the funnel. Can you touch a little bit on how you think about content, kind of just the structure that you might have?
Yeah, structure. So I have tried to batch content, but the neurodivergence really does play with me a little bit. And when I batch content, I tend to find I don't get as good engagement because it's kind of like more forced and less authentic. So when I do my content, like some people are good at content, they're naturally creative, they naturally have this just ability to let content fall out of their head. But they fall into kind of like two traps when they do that, right? So that's when we put content out that doesn't connect with our ideal customer, or it's interesting, but we bring in followers that we don't need. So that kind of happens. But if you're good at content, you are already in this process of like always thinking about what you can put out. So I must have 1 million content out ideas a day. And I have a notes app on my phone and I put the content ideas in there. When I am in flow and I'm writing a post, I'll put it into Notion, and I have got about 300 posts ready to go in LinkedIn that have either never seen the light of day, never will see the light of day, or I just kind of forgot about. But I put them there in case I'm struggling with content. So I have a process where when I have an idea, I make sure that there's somewhere I can put it and come back to it later so I don't lose the idea, which is really good for when I do want to batch some content. I've got some good ideas. And I create better content at night because my brain is more relaxed and I'm more vulnerable. So my best performing posts are generally what I've written at 11 o'clock. And they're also the posts that I was most scared to put out. So they're the most authentic, the most opinionated. Like that is my process of content. Now, the secret to the fact that my content does so well is the fact that when I work with my clients, I do a kind of problem solution exercise where I get them to list all of their client problems and then I ask them 10 questions about that problem, and they can create content by going question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and it's like a copywriting model. And because I know that inside out, and because I know copywriting models and I know hooks and all of that is now ingrained in my head, it's actually really easy for me to create content. The issue that everybody else has is they struggle to create content because they've never been through the problem solution exercise. They've never written down all of the problems that their ideal customer has and how that makes them feel and how it impacts their daily life and what the solution would be and how to help them. They don't have this format and this structure, which is what makes it more difficult to create content. So if you're not naturally good at content, it's likely that you need to really map out where your customer is at, how you can help them. And then every time you create a piece of content, you go back to that list and you either, you say your thoughts on it, you say your opinions, you say how you can help them, you tell a story, you tell case studies, testimonials, but everything links back to that kind of process. Most people don't have a process at all. We just think we can get away with like just writing stuff. But, you know, like in my training, I'm doing the anatomy of a post. I'm like the mistakes that people make. I'm doing the problems and solutions, like stuff that I expect that they would make their content off the back of. But without doing all of that, people just go, okay, I'm going to post about this today, put it out, and then they wonder why it doesn't land. And it's because their audience is just so confused or the anatomy is not right. Very simple tweaks, but very powerful for growth and monetization.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I love that exercise also to think about like what are the problems, how does it show up in daily life.
Yeah, and they're the posts that, so when I put a post out, I did one the other day where I was talking directly to women who are currently thinking about taking summer off. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm a mum, I've got a 3-year-old. I am considering taking, 6 weeks off, even though he's not at school yet, just to kind of like feel into the process and just support my clients through that. So I put this post out and I just said, I fundamentally feel like this is a mistake because what you're doing now is you're thinking about summer, you're starting to shut shop and it's only middle of June. They don't even break up for a month and you're already like, oh, well, it's summer. I don't need to invest in anything. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to do any strategy because I'm taking that time off. So your brain is going into this dip. What happens next is they come back in September, which is a high sales month. People are like raring to go. They're ready to invest. And you've not nurtured anyone. You've not done any messaging. You don't have a strategy. Your offer might not be nailed. You might be a bit confused and you're raring to go and everyone's raring to buy, but there isn't that kind of like pre-sell phase happening. So people have already decided who they're going to buy from based on the people that were working through summer. And then what happens is Christmas hits. So you tend to get like maybe a dip again. And so as women and particularly as mums, you lose quite a few months of the year through this kind of like mindset different process. And what I want people to do, what I do myself, is I want them to recognize that yes, you can take the time off and you can still be implementing a strategy that gets you set up for September, and you can set that strategy. You can do something really gentle around your kids that feels good, so you're not fully out of it. You can do self-development, also that in September or you're ready. And that post did so well, and I got messages from people and I got inbound leads because it was so like, that is a specific message, right? So specific. So if you can get into that daily life of, where is your ideal customer sat right now? What are they drinking? What are they eating? What are they wearing? What are they thinking? What is their fear? What is their hope? What is their excitement? What are they about to do next? What should they be doing instead? That is powerful stuff, really powerful stuff. So like really start there.
Yes, let's do that all tonight.
Yeah, homework.
Make a long list. Is there anything more that you feel we have not yet touched upon in kind of the LinkedIn realm that you feel is important to comment?
I do, yeah. So my personal brand is built very much on authenticity, and people think that I overshare, but I actually don't. There's a lot that I don't put on LinkedIn, but I do share my opinions, and I do, you know, some of my content is quite bold and it feels uncomfortable. I can't stress this enough, that everyone thinks that, you know, maybe obnoxious people, people that are just really confident, are the people that are growing on LinkedIn. And people think I have bags of confidence, but it's actually learned behavior. I've learned to kind of be a confident speaker, to articulate myself, and I've put the work in to do that. But I still feel uncomfortable going to that platform and maybe posting something that people are going to disagree with, or you know, people create content off the back of my content now. That's one of the things about being a content creator. And I've been tagged in the weirdest stuff of people that I've never met, and I've been trolled as well. And we're all very scared of being visible in case someone disagrees with us. And I think we've lost some of the essence of who we are. But personal brand and sales, particularly as a service business, is so much built on who you are and your story. And I think if we can all just relax a little bit and just weather the storm of other people disagreeing with us, and actually stand up and go, this is who I am, and this is what I stand for. You don't have to like it. And if we're respectful, people are going to really like flock to you, because that's what I found the moment I took the mask off and was like, this is who I am. And I've had mental health struggles, and I'm a mum, and I don't always enjoy being a mum. And then sometimes I love it, and I've got this business, and I'm closing a business, and I failed in this business. People say they want to work with me because it's real. Like, let's give people what they want to see, which is real life. Like, treat your life like unfortunately, like a Kardashian series, where you can choose to put out what you want and you can edit out the things that you don't, but people get to see the real you. I want to see more people. I want to see, you know, it sounds terrible. I want to see more people who love to swearing on LinkedIn, because that's their brand. That's what they want to do. Let's be adults here. And then, like, you don't have to do it. You don't have to follow these people. I want to see people talking about the struggles of their business. I want to see people saying, actually, I've made no money this month, and I teach social media, and I've made no money. This is the reality of life. And we've lost so much of ourselves, especially in the desire to be liked and get likes. We've lost so much of ourselves. And we've got to put that back, right?
100%. But people want to connect with other people. I think that's what we're all here for. And I feel that in my own content, when it gets a little bit more vulnerable, that's when people reach out. That's when people are in the comments. That's what really resonates. Because in the end, we all have struggles. Like, no one is perfect. No one can relate to like a perfect portrait of you online. So yeah, 100%.
And it's so difficult, because the difficulty I have with LinkedIn now is like, it's a little bit like therapy. So if something happens to me, I really want to talk about it with my LinkedIn audience. I'm like, okay, a client's done this and it was really out of order, or I'm struggling with this, or like something personal has happened. And I really want to take to the platform, and I've had to hold back. So there's so much that I hold back of myself that I'm learning to kind of like uncover through this journey. But we have to do it, and we have to decide where our boundary is, so that we can get that connection, and so that people can feel who we truly are, to sell more. And it seems a little bit strange to say, okay, drop into this vulnerability so that you can make more money. I think it's actually a really beautiful thing that you can make yourself financially safe through being yourself now. Like, how awesome is that? Just through being yourself online and posting. Like the opportunity is endless for people. And I just, yeah, I've come to learn that it feels like a very beautiful thing to take to LinkedIn and use it as a little bit of therapy and go like, are you experiencing this? Like, are you with me on this? Or maybe not. I don't know.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It brings kind of the human factor into all of that.
Yes, humanity.
Yes.
In a world of AI, like, we need humanity.
Yes. You actually have a program coming out around all of these topics. So where can people go if they want to dive even deeper into the topic of LinkedIn together with you?
Yeah, so I am running a challenge live. I say it's a challenge because it's really going to get you to set up your profile, to look at scripts, to look at templates, to learn the content that's working, to look behind the scenes. I'm going to show people behind the scenes of my LinkedIn account. Like, I'm going to show them what's going on, what's worked, what's not worked for me. And I'm going to kind of like teach them in this safe place all together what's really worked and how I've managed to do this in the last year and grow from like 5,000 in December to 15,000 by now with relatively little effort. I'm going to be honest, like it's not as a big effort for me, but I want to show people that they can systemize and they can do it too, and they can have this big audience. And I watch my clients go from like 1,000 followers to 5,000 followers in like 4 months, and they love it. So I've got this program coming up. I'm teaching it live for the first time, and then it's going to turn into a course. So you'll be able to watch the replays if you can't make the live. We're doing 4 days. We're optimizing your profile. We are learning about the high converting content. I'm going to give you templates so you can make your content. I'm showing you behind the scenes. I'm showing you my scripts. I'm going to show you the sales post that I put out that got the inbound leads so that you have everything that you need. And I'm also going to be running a LinkedIn group alongside that so that you can get involved with the other people. You can share your wins and you can kind of like share it with other people and get feedback and actually just learn. It's £47, so it's super cheap. There's 4 days of trainings that are 60 to 90 minutes, and then there's templates around that. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Everyone told me not to do a low ticket offer, right? Because all of my programs, I do big coaching programs, and everyone told me not to do a low ticket offer. But I think this is just something that people need to be introduced. They need to be able to give it a go. And my aim with this is to help you to give it a go so that if you then want to go into a bigger program, you can. But equally, if you can apply it, you can get the results, and you might never need the program. You might only need it when you want to scale, which is different. And I'm like really excited about being able to give that to the people that just don't have the money to invest, or they're just not quite sure about the coaching world, because it is bonkers. You can't trust everybody. Yeah. So I'm going to give it my absolute everything in that program for such a low price. So excited about it. You can find it on LinkedIn. If you drop me a DM, then I will send it across to you. And I'm also going to pin it onto my profile later today.
Perfect. Count me in for that one.
Amazing.
That's amazing.
Yes, you'll be getting the link straight after this.
Perfect. Can you also tell people a little bit more how they can work with you? Because you do so much more than just LinkedIn. There's a lot of strategy. There's so much business. Just like a very quick overview of like what can people expect when they start DMing you, when they start working with you.
Yeah, so I've got the low ticket product now, Teach You LinkedIn. I also have a group called Sell in 6, which is where I teach you how to sell a service in 6 steps, because you actually need 6 things, which is offer, reliability, credibility, visibility, sociability, and the psychology, the positive psychology of keeping going. So when I have a 6-month program, you can join for 12 months, and I speak to my clients every single week. So I wanted to bring kind of like the one-to-one vibe to group coaching, where you actually get to speak to the mentor, because they grow so big now that you don't usually get to. So that group, we meet, we have accountability calls, we have like Kajabi resources, I'm bringing in guest experts, and you actually get to chat to me as well. So that's the first group. And then for people who are about the kind of like 7K a month mark, they're trying to get to multiple 6 figures, I have another group, which is a small scale mastermind, where every week I teach you to build out your funnel, to get more sales, to like take permission, to keep going, to work on your mindset, to do your email marketing. I teach the whole piece and coach you through that process of scaling your business. So yeah, they're the main ways that I work with people. I do work one-to-one in the background as like fractional marketers, or if you're a bigger CEO that needs kind of like the marketing and funnel stuff, but you also want maybe the personal brand stuff, and you're also struggling with overwhelm. So I'd say like the main thing about working with me is if you're struggling with overwhelm, if you're struggling to get leads or sales, or you're struggling to build a personal brand, get on social media, or you don't know what you're struggling with at all, but you want to add revenue and you want to grow and you are ambitious, then there's definitely a way that you can work with me that would suit you.
Perfect. So people should go to your LinkedIn. We're also going to have links down in the show notes so people can find you there. It was so
Amazing.
lovely to talk to you, Laura. It's always
Thank you. You too.
It's like the sun comes on when you're speaking. Like, I just love it. Love your
That's
energy.
the best compliment ever. Like, I'm actually in like real life, like I do brutally honest business, right? So real life, I am probably in like quite a low vibe today, which means, wow, what am I like when I'm on high vibe?
Right.
Probably a bit too much. But yeah, I'm lower vibe, like long week, it's been busy. I'm ready to like log off at 5 today and just like take the weekend. And yeah, so it's really nice to hear that yeah, I'm still a ray of sunshine.
Perfect. Loving it. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. No, it's been amazing. Really great conversation. I hope it's been helpful.
For sure. All right, tribe. Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and a comment below. There's going to be new episodes dropping every Wednesday, covering everything from entrepreneurship to health, basically giving you all the tools that you need to peak perform in business and in your life. So please make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. This is a one-woman show. There is no network, there are no sponsors, and there is no editing team behind this. So it's up to me and you to spread the word about it. So if you have a friend who might benefit from what you learned today in this episode, please make sure to share a link with them. I see you next Wednesday. Much love.